on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. We're going to talk about the Black Panthers and the myth around them and how the left used this pack of ingrates to make young black people follow them into hell. Yeah, we're going to take off the mask of the Panthers today on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, let's get this thing started. You know, y'all, I said last week, I quoted Napoleon when he said, history is just lies agreed upon. I thought about that when I was thinking about the Black Panthers. And I can't sit here feeling, oh, holier than thou because, you know, people still see the Panthers as heroes. Because I was there. I remember reading about the Panthers. I remember seeing the Panthers when I was a little boy. I mean, hell, I thought my daddy was a Black Panther. My dad had an afro, sideburns, combed his hair with the pick, you know, had the leather jackets. My father was, you know, when my father had me, he was 21. So when I was 6, 7 years old, my dad was still in his 20s. Daddy wore stacks, and daddy was cool as hell. He was John Shaft, as far as I was concerned. And you saw the Panthers, and they were cool, man. And every time you saw them on TV, they was cool. The leather jackets, brothers with the afros, you know, talking trash, not scared of the police, carrying guns. And they became part of our folklore. You know, same time you had Muhammad Ali, you know, Ali was defiant, heavyweight champion of the world. You know, he was rhyming, and he was very, very charismatic, just good-looking guy. He danced, and he knocked people out, and he's defiant like the Panthers. And it was a different ideology than the one that Martin Luther King Jr. had set up of passive resistance and nonviolence. Because throughout our history, I found out that you can be nonviolent, but there were some governments in the world. Well, every government wanted this population to be nonviolent. Everyone did. So Dr. King talking about nonviolence, that just was perfect for the government. What government wouldn't want their population to be nonviolent? Question becomes, were the Americans nonviolent when it came down to Great Britain? Of course not. We got our guns and killed them. Was the Union Army nonviolent when it came down to the Confederacy? Of course not. Got their guns and beat them to submission and killed them. Thomas Jefferson said that the tree of liberty must be irrigated with the blood of tyrants and patriots. It is their natural manure. So just like what Stokely Carmichael said about violence in America, he said violence is as American as apple pie. Our whole revolution is based upon it. It's this idea as part of American culture that our government should have a very, very serious fear of its population. Yeah, our government needs to be very fearful of its citizenry. They have to believe that we will come in and we will kill them. So when King started walking around talking about nonviolence, that fell, that's why they got his statue up. That fell right up under their purview. It's almost like saying that, you know, a man can mess around on his wife and she can't do nothing about it. Of course the man will like a joker that to give out that message. A man that walks around talking about nonviolence to the population against their government, of course he's a hero. Because the American tradition is, hey man, we're here to vote. You can't vote. Are you ready to die? You can vote. That's the American tradition. A very healthy fear that a government should have of its citizenry. In that rose the Black Panthers, who say the same thing. So the Panthers, but the Panthers are really a communist, Marxist, atheist, out of control gang who had gaslit the American people into believing that they were something special. And they had a 10-point plan. Let me read you their 10-point plan. Panthers said, we want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of the black community. Number 2, we want full employment for all of our people. Number 3, we want an end to the robbery by capitalists of our black community. Now, all this stuff is pretty general, isn't it? Number 4, we want decent housing, fit for shelter for human beings. Now, all this stuff is communist stuff, okay? Because the only way you're going to get this stuff through capitalism. If you don't get through capitalism, you got to get through communism, and they just say they don't like capitalists. Number 5, we want education for our people that exposes the true nature of this decadent American society. Well, they got that with the public education system now. We want education that teaches our children. Well, we want education that teaches us our true history and our role in present-day society. Yeah. That's the Panthers. Number 6, we want all black men to be exempt from military service. Number 7, we want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of black people. They don't care if they kill white folks, they just don't want to kill black people. Number 8, we want freedom for all black men held in federal, state, county, and city prisons and jail. So they want all black men let out of jail regardless of what they did. Ain't that the most ignorant mess you ever heard in your life? Dude done kill 8, 9, 10, 12 folks. We want him out of jail. Number 9, we want all black people, when brought to trial, to be tried in court by a jury of their peer group or people from their black communities, as defined by the Constitution of the United States. So they want black people to be tried by other black people from their community. White folks can't be on the jury. Don't that sound like Jim Crow in reverse? When white folks used to just have all white folks on the jury? That's just so un-American and so stupid. And number 10, we want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace. Don't we all? So that was the Panther 10-point plan. Some of that stuff is all right. It never talks about how. Some of it is bat blank crazy. We want education for our people that exposes the true nature of this decadent American society. We want education that teaches our children, that teaches our true history and our role in present-day society. We want all black men to be exempt from military service. Well, anyway, in this comes 2 people, 2 leaders of the Black Panthers. One is Huey P. Newton, and the other one is Bobby Seale. Huey Newton was a very interesting character. Huey was always in some stuff. I don't know if Huey was high all the time or if Huey was just kind of psychotic and crazy. But Huey got into it and killed 2 police officers at a traffic stop. And they got Huey into Cuba. Huey stayed there for a while. And then he came back for trial. And Huey had I think 3 mistrials, and he was set free. Huey was involved in a whole lot of crazy stuff. He was involved in the murder of this prostitute, black prostitute. And there was this guy by the name of Flores Forbes. Flores wrote a book about Will You Die For Me, called Will You Die For Me, I think was the name of it. And he was an enforcer for Huey Newton in the Black Panther Party. And Flores killed a lot of people. I think everybody he killed was black for the Black Panthers. But Flores said that the Black Panthers were taxing drug dealers on the street. So if you was going to sell drugs in Oakland, you had to pay a tax to Huey Newton. Now, Huey was basically a communist. The Panthers were selling the Red Book by Mao Zedong. And they called themselves Marxists, and they called themselves, Panther Stalinism. So They came and they believed in self-defense, so they were carrying guns. I ain't got no problem with that. You know, they're American citizens. But because they were raising money and because they called themselves communists and because they were selling the Red Book by Mao Zedong and because they was talking about killing police, they came to the attention of the local police and the FBI. Now, this is when the FBI was under the auspices of J. Edgar Hoover. And J. Edgar Hoover did, in fact, find out that the Black Panthers were getting money from communists. And, of course, Hoover's spider senses rose up because there were Panther chapters all over America. And if there was one thing the Panthers hated, it's one thing them jokers despised. It was the police. So the Panthers started calling the police pigs. They hated police brutality. They believed that the police were the occupying force of the capitalists, and they wanted to make sure that they ran the police out of the black community. And the Panthers really started killing police. They would ambush them, they'd shoot them, and they were into it with the police all the time. They would have skirmishes every now and then with the police. But then they had their little bighorn. If people don't know what little bighorn is, white Americans had been fighting with the Indians for really almost 200 years. Back and forth, back and forth. And finally, Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull took out a whole American regiment and killed them all at Little Bighorn. Killed General Custer, killed his whole regiment. The Americans had been playing with the Indians up until that time. They had never sent a real force in to take them out. They never had as part of their plan the destruction of the Indians. Either you give up or you die. After Little Bighorn, that became the policy of the United States government. Hands off. And not hands off, I mean, no holds barred. They're going to either capitulate or they're going to die. So they went out there and they said, well, how are we going to get them in? They said, we're going to kill their commissary, we're going to kill the buffalo, and when the buffalo dies, they're going to come in. And that's what they did. They went out, they destroyed the buffalo. When they destroyed the buffalo, the Indians did not have a food supply. So the ones that didn't die had to come in and get on the reservations, and that's where they've been ever since. Now, the police and the FBI had been kind of playing with the Panthers for a while. The Panthers would do something, the police would grab them. They would, they would lock them up. They get the ones that didn't lock them up, this, that, and the other. Well, the Panthers had a little bighorn. They, in South Chicago, they killed 2 police officers, one by the name of John Gahuli and one by the name of Frank Rappaport. And they had killed some in California, but these were the ones that they killed in Chicago. And when they killed these 2 in Chicago, things got bad real fast. They didn't only just didn't kill 2 of them. They injured 9 of the police officers. And this was depicted in this movie. I don't know if you saw it, Judas and the Black Messiah. Great movie. You need to see it if you haven't. But when they killed those 2 cops and they injured 9 of them, Fred Hampton was the leader of the Chicago group. And the FBI and the police got together and said, gloves off. We're going to eradicate them now. We're going to kill them all. And they did. They found out that Fred Hampton, where he was, they found that they had information that the Panthers' guns and the ammunition were all stashed in the house where Fred Hampton was. Fred Hampton and Mark Clark were there. The FBI had put a spy into the house where Fred Hampton was, a black spy. And this black spy had put some drugs. He identified Fred Hampton's drugs drink that night. And Fred Hampton drank it and went to sleep. And when the police came in that morning, Mark Clark was sitting in front of the door. He had a shotgun. He was security. And when the police kicked the door in, first thing they saw was Mark Clark there with that shotgun. And of course, they lit him up. And Mark Clark shot into the air. It was a reflex shot. And of course, when the police heard the reflex shot, they thought that there was shots coming from inside the house. And they just lit that house up. I think they shot 99 bullets into the house. And they said that they walked in and they saw, and Fred Hampton had not responded because Fred was drugged. And the police walked into the house, and some of the people say that they just executed Fred Hampton. That's what they say. I don't know that to be sure. I think that there was a lawsuit and some money was given behind all of this. I don't think anybody went to jail. I could be wrong about that, but, I don't think anybody went to jail. I think there was a lawsuit. However, my point is, and this is a little bit of street justice, y'all, that when the Panthers decided they were going to go crazy on these cops, the cops said, and the FBI said, gloves off, eradication. They're communists. They're Marxists. They talk about armed revolution in the United States of America. They've started armed revolution in the United States of America. They're going to die. So, every time you see a movie about the Panthers depicted in Hollywood, the Panthers are depicted as these swashbuckling fighters for black liberation. No. From what I read, the Panthers were a bunch of dope-smoking hypocrites. Their leaders lived like kings up in penthouses, driving Mercedes-Benzes and wearing Rolex watches, while the grunts were in the streets doing the grunt work. It was communism, man. It was what they did in Russia. They came into Russia telling all the people, oh, look how the Tsar living. This is terrible. We're going to do a communist revolution, and we're going to make sure that all of you guys live well just like everybody else does, and we're going to live like you do. And guess what they did? Soon as them jokers got power, soon as the communists got power, they moved into the same palaces and Dachau's that the Tsars lived in. And the people lived like they had always lived, in huts with no running water and no bathrooms. And hardly any electricity. Panthers did the same thing. They gaslit the black community. They gave out a few free lunch programs to make the people, if you feed somebody that's hungry, they're going to like you. So they gave jokers free lunches, and the press all over it. And because the press was liberal, and because the Panthers were anti-Vietnam and anti-American, the leftist press loved them. The same as Ali. The press didn't like Ali because Ali was the heavyweight champion of the world. They sure enough didn't like him because he was Nation of Islam. They loved Ali because Ali was anti-Vietnam. And the Panthers were anti-Vietnam. And Vietnam was being taken over by the communists. And it eventually was taken over by the communists. And you know why? Because the press turned on America and wouldn't let America take the communists out. So again, the Panthers have been used by the left to plant a lie into the minds of black America about what it means to be black. You're supposed to be some type of atheist, Marxist militant, some type of hater of America, a hater of the establishment, always marching, always fighting, always full of hate, always talking about what somebody doing to you, never just going out. And a lot of these Panthers, man, the amazing thing about these jokers, when they got a little bit of age on them, all of them got government jobs. Bobby Rush became a congressman. All they running for mayor. They in the city council now. All them suckers that hate America all got jobs working for America in some type of way now, getting a paycheck from it. While they gaslit everybody else into believing that they were revolutionaries. You had a few. Stokely Carmichael died in exile in Nigeria. Eldridge Cleaver, I don't know, he always doing stupid stuff. But the Panthers, by and large, as Hollywood will do right now, they will use that swashbuckling image of the Panthers to try to get our young black people to buy into the lie that you're supposed to always be a revolutionary. It's like what Hamas does over in Gaza. They raise young people with the martyrs' wall, telling them all the terrible things that Israel has done and telling them how they're supposed to be like the old martyrs and all this kind of stuff and die for the cause, die for the cause. They do the same thing to us by using the Panthers and Huey Newton and Bobby Seale and what the Panthers did back in the 70s and telling us we're supposed to be the exact same way. Look, I ain't mad at you. I remember when I was younger, I had a picture of John Carlos and Tommy Smith, you know, at the 1968 Mexico Olympics with the Black Power sign, with the heads bowed, in protest to the racism in America, and got their gold medals took. Yeah, I had that picture in my house. But I didn't have nobody to tell me the truth. So now I think that Tommy Smith and John Carlos, they got statues in L.A. somewhere. Yeah, both of them still doing that Black Power salute. And I think America gave them their medals back. Because again, the Democratic Party wants black people to always be in a position of cannon fodder, angry, marching, protesting, hell-raising, burning up stuff for their cause. Yeah, we burnt up our own neighborhoods for George Floyd. Voted for Joe Biden and Barack Obama. Right now, when you turn on MSNBC and CNN, every black person you see is talking about how racist America is, how terrible white supremacy is. Still, and everything that the left shows you about the Black Panthers is going to be depicted as these guys being a benevolent, positive force in black America. Huey Newton ended up a drug addict, getting shot because he was out robbing drug dealers in the Black Guerrilla family. And they put a hit out on him. Yeah, he was robbing drug dealers to get crack. Huey Newton had his 6'8" bodyguard take a bullwhip and almost beat Bobby Seale to death with it up in his penthouse. They walked around the black community murdering people and selling drugs and making it safe for drug dealers to do what they were doing in the black community. Oh, but they were against the war in Vietnam. They end up being for gay rights and LGBTQ. Yeah, to show you they were about, and feminism. You know why? Because that's part of the communist construct. They never professed Christianity, a belief in Jesus Christ or God. You know why? Because they were communist, anti-American, anti-God, anti-capitalism. And it went through Black America. And they planted this hatred and this stupidity throughout our people. And now, even now to this day, when you go into the Black community, they got pictures of these idiots hanging up in their schools. Books written about them, movies about them, written in songs. All of it's a lie. Out there killing law enforcement officers. And when the FBI got tired of them, you see they don't exist no more, do you? So y'all let these people gas you up to go out there and start acting like the Panthers. And you see what happened when law enforcement come down on you like 2 tons of bricks. And while these rich white liberals that gassed up the Panthers sat up there and watched all of them get shot and killed. But they got the black vote. Panthers were fools. Cannon fodder for the communists and the Marxists who live in Manhattan and who live in LA. Give them a little penitence of money, have them down there killing their own people. And now today, since all of them are dead, Mark Clark, Fred Hampton, Huey Newton, the rest of them in exile, they can use their pictures as martyrs to try to lead the rest of the black community down this primrose path of hate, division, and anti-Americanism. But there's a new day coming up in America right now, y'all. People like me out there telling the truth. People like me are telling you that you're an American, that the white conservative is not your problem. Your problem is that white liberal. That joker up there in Manhattan and in LA, the porn capital of the world, jokers putting out that hip-hop music, jokers putting out that porn, jokers are trapping your children in failing schools, these ditty-crats, the ones sexualizing your children, the ones that are letting all these illegals coming across the border that are coming into your neighborhoods, killing you, selling dope, fixing it where your child can't get a good education. Yeah, that is your enemy. The ones that are trying to take your guns away, trying to fix it where you can't even pray to your God the way you want to. Yeah, him. Why you got conservatives saying we're going to let you have school choice so you can educate your child properly. We're going to let you pray to your God so you can fix your soul. We're going to help you keep your guns so you can defend your property. We're going to keep these illegals out so your neighborhoods are safer. We're not going to incentivize the killing of your children like these leftists do and these ditty-crats when they tell you go out there and have as much sex as you want to and then kill your child so we can sell his body parts to the pharmaceutical industry. And they use the memory of the Panthers to try to tell you that the very people who are helping you and who love you as a brother and sister in Christ and as an American, these are your enemies. But the atheists, the perverts, the liars, and anti-Christian bigots who've destroyed your community are actually your friends. So when you look at the Black Panthers from now on, don't look at them as heroes. Look at them as sellout, ignorant buffoons and crabs in the barrel and traitors that they are. Because I'm going to remind you of it every week. You know why? Because I'm here to wake you up. I hope I did you some good today. I want you to subscribe. I want you to like, and I want you to comment on this channel because we're going to take it to a whole nother level. And I want you to join me next week for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, friends, Vince Everett Ellison is here. I want you to go to my website, and on my website, you're gonna see a lot of great stuff, man. You're gonna see that we got t-shirts, we got caps, you got my books, my documentaries, you got all kinds of stuff on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Go there. We're dropping new t-shirts, we're dropping new merchandise. My new book, The End of Tolerance, is there. The End of Tolerance. Make sure you get it, make it #1. If you got my first 3, get The End of Tolerance. It's just as good, and it's telling us we have to end our tolerance with these leftists, these Democrats. We can no longer allow them to sexually groom our children. We can no longer allow them to castrate little boys and call them little girls, run God out of the public square, take away our guns, take away our sovereignty. No longer allow it. So go on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. That is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Hit merchandise. You'll see the t-shirts. You'll see the caps. You'll see the books. You'll see the documentaries. You'll see it all. And let's keep this ball rolling. God bless you.